Star Trek: Strange New Worlds Season 3, Episode 3 ending explained. Captain Pike learns Dr. M'Benga's Klingon sins. Warning, spoilers ahead for Star Trek: Strange New Worlds Season 3, Episode 3. Star Trek: Strange New Worlds continues its streak of emotionally charged, character-driven storytelling with Season 3, Episode 3, a haunting hour that pulls back the curtain on one of the Enterprise's most enigmatic officers, Dr. Joseph M'Benga. What begins as a standard diplomatic mission soon transforms into a tense moral drama when Captain Christopher Pike uncovers the truth about M'Benga's violent past during the Klingon War. The episode's ending doesn't just deepen the Doctor's arc, it reshapes how both Pike and viewers see him forever. Let's break down how Strange New Worlds masterfully intertwines personal guilt, Starfleet ethics, and the shadows of war, and what Captain Pike ultimately learns about the man who's been quietly carrying the Federation's darkest secrets. A mission meant for peace, haunted by war, the episode opens with the Enterprise escorting a Klingon delegation to a newly established Federation Klingon medical summit. The uneasy truce following the end of the war has created new opportunities for cooperation, but tension lingers beneath the surface. Pike, ever the idealist, is determined to use diplomacy and compassion to heal the wounds of the past. Dr. M'Benga and Nurse Christine Chapel are assigned to work alongside a Klingon medical team led by General Dactyl, a figure whose presence immediately sends M'Benga on edge. Though he tries to hide it, his discomfort becomes palpable, and Chapel notices his hands trembling when he first greets the Klingon general. Pike, sensing something is off, assumes it's simply war trauma resurfacing. But the episode makes it clear that M'Benga's history with the Klingons is far more personal than he's let on, and that his guilt runs deeper than anyone suspects. The ghost of Dakar IV. Midway through the episode, M'Benga's flashbacks begin to fill in the blanks. During the Federation-Klingon War, he served in a Starfleet medical outpost on Dakar IV, a planet reduced to rubble after a Klingon massacre. As the memories unfold, we see that M'Benga wasn't just a doctor stitching up the wounded. He was a soldier, trained in brutal hand-to-hand combat to survive the onslaught. In one of the most striking sequences in the series so far, M'Benga recalls performing triage on dying Starfleet officers while Klingon troops closed in. When the outpost fell, he and Chapel were forced to defend themselves, and M'Benga crossed a line that no Starfleet physician was ever meant to cross. He became executioner instead of healer. This revelation reframes his calm and compassionate demeanor throughout the series. Behind every patient he saved, there's a ghost whispering from the war he wishes he could forget. The confrontation. When General Dactyl recognizes M'Benga, tension snaps into violence. Dactyl isn't just any Klingon. He was one of the commanders responsible for the Dakar IV massacre. But instead of shame, he boasts about it. M'Benga's restraint crumbles. The episode builds to an explosive confrontation in the Enterprise's medbay, where the Doctor's professionalism gives way to rage. In a chilling exchange, Dactyl claims that warriors like M'Benga should be proud of their strength. "You fought like a Klingon," he sneers. "You earned my respect that day." For M'Benga, the words are poison. They force him to confront the horrifying truth that in surviving the war, he became too much like the enemy he despised. The confrontation ends violently, though the details are deliberately ambiguous. Security finds Dactyl dead, impaled by his own blade. M'Benga is standing over him, blood on his hands. Pike's discovery. Captain Pike's moral compass has always been one of the show's guiding stars. He's the man who leads with empathy, who sees the good even in the worst situations. But here he's faced with something Starfleet doesn't prepare you for, a trusted officer who may have murdered a diplomat aboard his ship. In a tense, beautifully acted scene, Pike questions M'Benga privately. He wants to believe his doctor's story, but every instinct tells him that something isn't being said. M'Benga claims self-defense, that Dactyl attacked him after a verbal altercation. The evidence technically supports it, but there's a flicker in M'Benga's eyes, a hesitation that betrays the truth. When Pike pushes further, M'Benga finally breaks. "You don't know what it's like," he says, his voice trembling. "You patch them up, your friends, your patients, and send them back out to die. You tell yourself you're saving lives, but all you're doing is prolonging the killing. I tried to heal the wounded, and when that failed, I made sure the killing stopped another way." It's not a confession, but it's close enough. Sometimes peace demands monsters. The emotional core of the episode lies in the exchange between Pike and M'Benga in the final act. Pike, visibly shaken, has to decide what to do. Starfleet protocol demands an inquiry. But Pike's empathy and sense of loyalty tell him that dragging M'Benga into a tribunal would destroy a man already living in torment. When Chapel enters to corroborate M'Benga's account, she subtly confirms what Pike already suspects. M'Benga didn't just defend himself, he avenged the death of Dacre IV, and Chapel helped cover it up. Pike's silence in this scene speaks louder than any dialogue. He looks at the doctor he's trusted for years and realizes he's looking at a man both broken and righteous, someone who has lived with sins that no amount of healing can undo. M'Benga says quietly, "Sometimes peace demands monsters, Captain. The trick is making sure the monster doesn't outlive the war." Pike responds, "Then let's make sure this is the last time the monster has to show his face." He logs the death as an incident during diplomatic negotiations and buries the matter. It's an act of mercy, but also a burden that now he must carry with M'Benga. The aftermath and Pike's changed perspective. In the final moments, Pike visits M'Benga in sickbay. The doctor is treating minor injuries sustained during the fight, his hands shaking as he sterilizes his tools. Pike watches him in silence, the weight of what he knows pressing on both of them. This ending quietly mirrors their earlier dynamic from Season 1, when Pike saved his crew through sheer moral clarity. Now he's confronted with moral compromise. His expression makes it clear. Leadership isn't always about choosing right over wrong, sometimes it's choosing which truth to live with. M'Benga, for his part, doesn't seek forgiveness. He simply asks for permission to keep serving. "I'm still a doctor, Captain," he says. Pike nods, not in approval, but in acceptance. As the camera pans out, the Enterprise sails into warp, leaving behind a sense of unease. Peace with the Klingons may exist on paper, but within the hearts of those who fought, the war never truly ended. Themes: the wounds of Starfleet's idealism. This episode stands out as one of Strange New World's boldest explorations of the moral cost of Starfleet's ideals. While the Federation prides itself on being a beacon of peace and reason, the war with the Klingons forced many officers to abandon those principles for survival. M'Benga embodies that contradiction perfectly, a healer who has killed, a man who saves lives to atone for the ones he took. By exposing M'Benga's Klingon sins, the writers remind us that Starfleet's utopia is often built on the quiet suffering of those who make impossible choices. Pike's decision to protect his officer also complicates his moral purity. He learns that being a good captain doesn't always mean doing the right thing, it sometimes means carrying the wrong one so others don't have to. What this means for M'Benga going forward. Episode 3 sets up what could be a major ongoing thread for M'Benga's character this season. The Federation's fragile peace with the Klingons could easily unravel if Dactyl's death becomes political. Pike's cover-up, however noble, risks coming back to haunt the Enterprise. More importantly, M'Benga's emotional stability is clearly hanging by a thread. While he's one of the most composed officers aboard, this episode shows how close he is to the edge. His inner battle, the struggle between healer and soldier, may become a recurring motif as Strange New Worlds dives deeper into the trauma carried by its crew. Final thoughts: a masterclass in moral storytelling. Star Trek: Strange New Worlds Season 3